How's it going? It is TJ Taurai Jack. Welcome aboard to M5 Property Addicts. This is the show that we talk about anything and everything around property, real estate. Yeah. And we're coming out straight live from Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, Pretoria. Are you all there? Swane, by the way, it is, right? And my name is TJ, and every day, Monday to Friday, we are here. And today it's a special day because it is an open mic day where you get to answer all the questions and I get to answer them, right? So you get to ask the questions and I get to answer them. And today we're talking about student accommodation. Randomly, let's pick up the conversation of student accommodation. And if you don't know what student accommodation is all about, there is a big hype. People are of the view that they make good money in student accommodation and it falls under real estate. And let's talk about it. Hey, welcome aboard. It is I, Taurai Jack. Yeah. Boom, boom. Yeah. Right. So as it is an open mic, and as an open mic, what we generally do is that we kind of like talk about anything and everything. And we've been doing this at M5 Property Addicts. If this is your first time of being here and you're wondering, what does this guy talk about? Well, I talk about property and real estate. Why do I do that? Because I was investor of the year at one point. Investor of the year in the big leagues. I got my cup here, right? My award. Whoop, whoop. Yes. I got my award. And other people that do property recognizing me that, I'm doing awesome things together with my team at M5 Property Addicts. Over and above that, I write books. And this is the book that I wrote, M5 Property Addicts. The book is called From Bad Debt to Property Mogul. You want to get this book. It's on my website for $297. And it can come through to you. But I'd like us to talk about student accommodation today, student accommodation. And as it is, because it's an open mic, right? Open mic means that you can ask any question or you can talk about, you can ask a question, you can throw in a comment and we can talk about that comment. So for the next 15 minutes, this is what we're going to be doing. Student accommodation. What have you had? If you're not playing in student accommodation and you want to play into student accommodation, what have you had? Okay, so what are the random questions that you want to ask? Right, Uncle T, Taurai Jack is here today to talk about that. We talk about the truth and not the truth, and the whole idea here is so that you and I, we get educated. In our team, we've got Retha. She is the big mommy. Yeah, she looks after all of our students at this point in time. And we've got around about 350. And right, so we didn't start off at 350. We started off with one student. And it went on to 10, it went on to 20, it went on to 30. We are about to double that number for 2021. We are about to double that one number for 2021. So what is it that you have? What is it that you've got, that you have learned? Or you got a question or you got a comment? I'm going to jump onto the comments right now. So number one, we do student accommodation. We do it in Cape. That's our favorite place of doing it there. And we are solving the problem there because, as you know, in some places, there is shortages of student accommodation. Kids literally sleeping or rioting and all of those things, sleeping in the grounds and things like that, or accommodation conditions are not great. These are the things that we see within the newspapers. But this year, during COVID, a lot of students have had to go back home. So is students' accommodation working, right? It is another question that maybe we can talk about. And if you do have a student accommodation, is it working for you now in COVID? For us, it's been working. The majority of our students never went back home. They were around because for them, back home, actually, it's a non-conducive environment for them to study. In our places, we've got Wi-Fi. In some cases, we've got computers, and they are able to continue with their studies if they are disciplined, right? Because, the varsity was not open. But I'm going to jump onto the comments. The show is not about me today. The show is about you. I'm going to jump into the comments, and the comments are coming through fast and coming through. Okay, I get like some general comments here coming up from Cape Town. Carlos says, good morning, TJ. Good morning to you too, brother. Perfect topic for the perfect time. Yes, why? Because if you got a student accommodation now in October, generally this is the time where you should be preparing it. You should be knocking on the doors of the universities, and they are taking in intakes right now all the way to November. So it's a prep time, right? It's a prep time, making sure that for 2021 you're going to be making some money. This is where the biggest problem is for some people, right? We see a tree and we pick up the axe and we want to chop the tree off. Ooh, big problem there. It doesn't work like that. When you are given the task to chop down a tree, you pick up your axe and you spend time filing the axe, making sure that the axe is well finely tuned and it's sharp. The sharper your axe, the easier it's going to be for you to chop down the tree. So where do you put your effort? In chopping down the tree, or in planning on which side you are going to be chopping it from, or planning on how do you handle the axe, or how do you actually make sure that the axe is actually well refined so that it can cut sharper? That's the question. In my view, that's the latter. You want to spend time in your planning. 2021 becomes then a cha-ching environment. You are reaping the rewards of what you have done this year. And that's why in the month of October, we will be talking heavily about student accommodation. So yes, thank you, Carlo, for recognizing that it is a perfect time. For some of you who are wanting to be in the game, if you don't have an offer to purchase right now, and if you're not already working on your property, cleaning it up right now, you might not be getting money in Jan or in Feb. That's just the reality. But again, it depends also with how big your property is. If the property is bigger, then yes, you're going to have problems, because obviously you need maybe about a month and a half to do renovations. You need to bring in furniture. That is going to take you a lot of time, and you might not get to satisfy the university, and you might not be on their list. And then you might need to be going out there and scouting for private students, which is another angle as well. It's a tiresome angle, but you can do it, right? So it doesn't mean that it can't be done. Rodi says, good morning, TJ. Yes, sir. And KG says, good morning, TJ. How's it going? Right. KG's got a comment here. I will dive right in. Is it advisable to blend student accommodation with multi-lets employed individuals? All right. I am asking because I have a property that was listed. My preference was to get employed individuals, but 75% of all inquiries are coming from students. Okay, that's a very interesting one, right? Molefi coming in there. Good having you around, brother. So in my view, right, so this is how we need to look at this. Is it about the investor, you, Molefi, or is it about the environment that you want to create? Okay, I'll give you an example. I went to see a property recently in Fairlands, I think it was, and there was a mixture of students, international students, and young professionals. However, what I also realized about the young students is that these were actually people that had come to South Africa from overseas, coming in to do their doctorate. So they're here doing some studies and things like that, researches and things like that. So the question that you might want to ask yourself is what type of a student? First year students, second year, third, they're a little bit matured. So, you can balance it off with young professionals, because it's just like a year or 2 years difference. So my gut feel says yes, but I want to come back and stipulate to say, when you are creating something, an environment, what environment are you wanting to create to portray to your client? Because remember, whether these are individuals, employees, or whether they are students, right? At the end of the day, they are your clients. Now, the first question that you want to ask yourself is, what kind of environment are you wanting to create for, all right, for your clients? Number one, is it an environment for bringing in students, first year students? So you might want to worry about, hey, how do you actually open up a shower? How do you actually operate a microwave? Because they're coming from a place where they don't know those things, right? It is a reality, guys. In our markets, there are people that have never seen a microwave before, right? So you're going to spend a little bit of time hand holding them. Or you might want to say, okay, fine, I'm going to take in third years, or people that are kind of like finishing off, or people that are doing their researches, and like first, second year young professionals. I think it blends very well because you're really talking about the same age group here. And there is no harm actually in doing that, in my view. The thing that I would like you to caution is that if you've got two extremes, so you've got young professionals, guys that are actuarians, for instance, and they're in their first, second year, they think that they have arrived, okay? Not knowing that life still comes, there's a whole lot of things. And by the way, I'm just picking up actuarians. It can be a doctor, it can be anyone, right? Because they've been studying for the rest of the last 4 or 5 years, and now they have their first, second job, and now they have the opportunity of a car and things like that. And then you're putting in a first year student. Oof, that's not going to work very well. There will be a lot of conflicts on that property. So, and again, it also depends. The second thing is, again, it depends on how the property is structured. These do you have self-contained units for some of these people or clients of yours, or are they all kind of like living in a commune? For me, that wouldn't work. The commune, if it's self-contained, I would put in the mix because I know that they're in their own environment. Okay, good. Moses Lala, he is here. Morning to you too. Right, let's hit them questions. Today it is open mic. Right, Moses says, kindly touch on student accommodation for universities situated in rural areas. Is there opportunities there? 100%. There is opportunities. Yeah, there is plenty of opportunities. I haven't just looked into student accommodation in the rural areas, Moses, like hard, right? But yes, there is an opportunity. I looked at an opportunity about a year and a half ago, and that opportunity was it was actually I can't remember the student's name, but it is in the KZN areas, if I remember very well. And is it Kwangonyama? I think it should be Kwangonyama or something like that. I stand corrected. But nonetheless, this university here is actually surrounded with a lot of tribal land, right? So if you're from that neighborhood, automatically you can get tribal land. Or if you're not, then you need to go and speak with the chief and things like that. But for me personally, for the fact that there is no title deed and it is under the chief, I wasn't really comfortable around that. And I also went on to make a bit of inquiry. You all know me. I don't have any of my own money. I use the bank's money all the time. So for that reason, I went through to the bank and I asked the question, can they fund on a tribal land? And the question was no. And that made me to be a little bit skeptical. I'm like, okay, fine. Even if I get the land, how am I going to create the opportunity? Because I don't have the money. And if the banks doesn't want to fund how best do I manage that? It doesn't make sense for me, right? So then I let that opportunity pass. However, I also want to stress out the fact that I didn't look harder. I didn't look into it harder. Had I looked into it harder, I am sure there should be banks, 1 or 2 banks that fund tribal lands. I'm sure of it, but I haven't just found them. So if you guys know someone out there who has had the opportunity of being funded with a tribal land, then even if it's a normal house, then you can that's what you can start off with. And the beauty about tribal land is that it's much cheaper. It is much cheaper. My worry was that one day the chief might just change his mind. You go on, you build this big thing, and you are catering for 100 students, and then the chief changes his mind and like, yeah, bring back the land. What do? Remember, you're an investor. You always want to look at how do you come in and how do you exit. But I've never dealt with chiefs before, right? I want to be honest out there. I've never dealt with chiefs before. I would like to, if there is an opportunity, it's something that I'd like to do. So Moses and Lala, that's a good thing there. If you do know some areas where there is student accommodation opportunities and it's in a rural setup somewhere, I think that's where the biggest impact for us can be as a people. We can jump in there, we can give them showers where there was no showers at all, where people would be traveling many kilometers to go and get showers. I remember back in the days, I had a project. I was working for the Steinhoff Group at that point, and we put up a warehouse in Richards Bay, and within that warehouse, the guys come in the office around about 4 in the morning for them to be doing their rounds. And out of that, right, one of the things that we created that was different was literally showers, hot showers. It was such a hit, right? Talking about employee retention, that was a big changer for Richards Bay on that warehouse. People wanted to come in because where they were coming from, there is no hot water, right? And for me, I then realized we underestimate the privileges that we've got in our own homes. And when we're creating businesses, this is what sometimes we need to look at. Value add, value add. Okay, awesome. I like that, Moses. I think let's look into some of those opportunities if you do find them, especially where the chief is in sync with your thinking. That'll be awesome. One of my mentors says you need to have a banker, you need to have a lawyer on your side, we need to have professional teams on your side, and you need to have a politician on your side. So the chief could be a politician. We all know the chief is not politically sided, but from that example there. Tumi, how's it going? Tumi, I have an experience where student had to leave mid-year. Parent could not pay and could not fill the bed mid-year. Yes, that's a reality. That's a reality. Okay, now this is all about the contracts that you're going to put in place, right? I see that in many cases, people are like, the contract is like 10 months, or the duration of the time of the university that you are here. We have a different view around that. So we have the view that when you're coming in, you're taking a 1-year contract, okay? Obviously, in the areas where you're in, if you're the only person who is doing that, and there's like 45 other properties out there that are doing month on month or that are doing 10 months, you are in the wrong community. You need to be educating your fellow investors. Hey guys, let's do a 12 months. And your 12 months, then you can also do like a month, a term, semester notice. So which means that either way, you can pay me, right? So when you're giving a notice, it needs to be a semester notice, so that that's how you can cover that gap to me, in my view. But it doesn't solve the problem that in the first semester, when someone gives you notice for the second semester, so that means that the other semester you don't have anyone, right? But what I also do is that this is something that Retha does quite a lot, and she's of the view that when you've got a good place, right? When you've got a good place and you've got students that are already staying at your place, ask them to find you the next student. Because they've got friends, right? And they want to stay close to their friends. Who doesn't want to stay close to their choma? Especially if your accommodation is, it's good, right? So, yeah, so sad to hear that experience there to me, but it is a reality. Carlo asked the question, what's the cost per student for furniture and etc. right now? Oh, dude, do your own research there, man. So the thing about open mic, guys, it's not about us like asking the obvious questions. I want this to be interactive, to be educational. So like from a Carlo perspective there, that question's about furniture. look, I can give you like a figure to say 3,000. I'm finding 3,000, but you're in a different market. I know you're in Cape Town, and we could be talking about Johannesburg. So, or we could be talking about PE. That won't become a good benchmark, right? So let's be talking about stuff that can be able to go out there and be able to help us, right? So, Carlo, I would suggest the one thing that you can do is, if you're wanting to jump into student accommodation and you don't know anyone who's doing it, reach out to one or two people that are doing it. Ask them the last time they bought furniture, and ask them the rough spend in your neighborhood, in the area where you're wanting to do student accommodation. Ask them where they bought it from, and also some of the things that you are asking for, like for instance, this, as property investors, like a lot of investors needs hands. So if you know that you're wanting to go into student accommodation, offer your hand to someone, right? Another investor, offer your hand, say, hey, can I come in? I'm learning, I'm a young hustler. Can I do, like, I don't know, can I sweep the rooms for you? And in the process, I will learn how the setup is, right? That's how you get to have good information. Like right now, I am going in, I'm squiring for someone else. And when I mean squiring here in the true sense of it, I am squiring for someone else who's doing billion rands of assets. Why am I squiring? Because I'm wanting to learn how to do billions. We're doing millions, but I want you to do billions as well. So I'm offering my head, and I'm doing some of the dirty stuff right now. Yeah, it might not be as dirty as sweeping, but I'm offering my hand to someone else whilst I'm learning how do they do it. It is the easiest way of learning, right? Volunteer and get the stuff that you need for you to get equipped. Given Makare says, good morning, TJ, how's it going? Carlos says, when running high-level numbers, how much do you use to calculate cost of furniture and etc.? Right, I think we've answered that one, right? Molefi, with regards to students' accommodation, what do you recommend? Prepaid meters per unit or distributing electricity costs equally amongst all students? No. So Molefi, right? My recent learnings within the last 1 year, right? And this is not about student accommodation. It is just about prepaid meters, about leakages of electricity, water, power, and things like that, right? You do not want to have income leakage. You do not want to have income leakages. Go all the way, install prepaid meters. If they are smart, the better. If they are tamper-proof, the best, right? What do I mean tamper-proof? You might have prepaid meters in a unit, and those prepaid meters people can tamper with, so they can bypass, run away from those meters, right? And Molefi, I can hook you up with Hubert on those ones, and he can get you the right prepaid meters that we are utilizing. Actually, they are tamper-proof. And the other thing that I want to speak to, especially when you're talking about students, the one trick that Retha uses at the moment, she actually has prepaid meters in all the units, one by one. And each student gets their prepaid token every day. They kind of like get a 10 Rand every day, and they top them up themselves. It's a bit of administration, but we've got someone in the office who's dedicated to that. What does it do? Where we were seeing 1,000 Rand expense, right? We now like promise them 10 Rand a day. So 10 Rand spread it throughout for the whole month. We are guaranteeing them that they're going to have a light. We're guaranteeing that they are going to utilize the power to charge their phone. However, anything over and above that, like if it's winter, they put up like heaters or whatnot, it's going to be there on their own cost, because you need to run a business and you need to make sure that your utilities are as low as possible, because you've got 40, 50 kids in the room, right? If all of them have heaters in the room, what's going to happen to your bill, right? So you're going to be losing some money there. So prepaid meters, Molefi, is the way to go. And you will learn from Retha there how best she can she can also help you in that system where she utilizes prepaid meters and give vouchers every day. Right. And Rudy says it is a good idea to invest in new developments. Whoop, whoop. Right. Let's go in. Right. I'm going to touch on Carlo. Carlo, he goes on. Right. Here is a property that used to be an old bank. It has 2 basements. I wonder if regulations would. Don't wonder, brother. Go and ask the questions in your power team. Ask a town planner, ask an architect. Don't wonder. All right. You're a property investor and you want to be serious about your game. Ask the professionals on your team on what should be done. So don't wonder anymore. You got the answer there. Allow persons to put students in the basement, right? If we open it up, the one side of the basement, there will be light. Okay, your thinking in terms of where you're going is great, but you are not the right person to be solutioning that. You are thinking correctly. Ask the right questions and get your power team to be answering those questions. So the basement might be conducive. I don't know. Get an architect in and utilize their skill. That's why we have these people on our team. If you had a commercial building, open shell design with partitioning here and there, when running high-level numbers, how much will you use for renovation per square meter? You need a builder to tell you that, brother. I don't do building at all. I work at numbers and I've got professional teams, and my professional team tells me what that will cost. Awesome stuff. Right. Thanks there, Carlo. And Molefi, the final questions. Do you guys have properties specifically for girls or boys, or do you guys do mixed? Right. On that one, Retha is running a webinar for student accommodation coming up. Watch out for it. It's coming in soon. And we've got, we have dedicated houses or buildings for boys and for girls. However, on the property, so for instance, I'll give you an example, right? One of the properties that we've got, it's got multiple houses on it. So in the house, it's a girl's house. On the property, on the land itself, it's mixed, right? So you got boys staying in that one house there, and you got girls staying on that house there. Remember, the needs of these guys are different, right? But you still want also to have them, socializing. We don't want it to be a boarding school where, like girls' dormitories, and then the boys is like, that's right? So, I mean, these are grown-ups and things like that. So, yeah, that's it. Has this been helpful? Open mic, right? I think open mic is so cool. I'm highly appreciative of your interaction. Well done to all of you, and let's keep the fire in terms of learning, implementing. Take the massive action to change the balance sheet. That's what it's all about, right? And by the way, I think this is going to be my first weekend where I'm going to be chilled. For the last couple of weeks, it's been crazy with the fundraising, and we have closed that. And this weekend, I am just going to take it a little bit of a chill. I think I'm going to take it easy, a little bit close to the end of the day. Sip on a bottle of wine and enjoy some quality time with my family into the weekend. And I will see you guys on Monday. Yeah? Who knows? Maybe tomorrow I might come in, actually. I love spending time with you guys. Yeah. Okay, cool. God bless. Cheers. Goodbye.